Yo, it's Wild 360 News, and right now we got Jason Whitlock going off on the Pro Football Hall of Fame for devaluing their brand. Now, according to Jason Whitlock, good players, even great players, should not be allowed in the Hall of Fame. In his opinion, only players whose career have hit a certain pinnacle should be able to wear the gold jacket. Now, one thing the Pro Football Hall of Fame is good for is honoring their greats, and a recent example of that was this weekend's inductee, Steve McMichael, a former Chicago Bear who played on the legendary 1985 championship defense alongside Michael Singletary and Richard Dent. Now, the fact that Steve McMichael played on one of the most dominant defenses in the history of the NFL, and the fact that he received the Hall of Fame award while being terminally ill and not having long to live, Jason Whitlock is receiving backlash for his comments. Let's hear what he said, and I'll be right back, y'all.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those ceremonies went on very quietly, in my view, over the weekend. And it was quiet because over the years, and it kind of came to a crescendo the last 2 or 3 years, they have let in people that were great football players who were not Hall of Famers. And I think they've taken an incredible amount of the shine off the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction deal. Used to be a big deal. I've quit watching. I mean, I used to live for these speeches. So I'm going to start here, though, Steve. Steve McMichael, Bears defensive tackle, inducted into the Hall of Fame. On his deathbed, they showed everybody surrounding him in his yellow jacket. He's on his deathbed, and I know it's not the proper thing to say, but he's not a Hall of Famer. And he was a part of a great Bears defense, but everybody on that 85 Bears defense can't go into the Hall of Fame and shouldn't. Steve McMichael, I think, in 15 years, qualified for 2 Pro Bowls and made 2 All-Pro teams. I was in an argument with another Hall of Famer over the weekend, and he was like, hey, man, the guy's got 94, 95 career sacks for a defensive tackle. You know, you got to put him in. I think in 2023, if my memory's correct, last year, they put Joe Klecko in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And that's what opened the door for Steve McMichael. Joe Klecko from the New York Sack Exchange, who had Joe Klecko in 1981, had 20 and a half sacks. That was his, and had some other years. Next best, he had 10 and a half sacks the year before. But other than that, but he had 78 career sacks. And this sack stat has been turned into some sort of, if you got X number of sacks, you need to be in the Hall of Fame. And if you got, and it depends on what position you played inside, you got the, and so that's the justification. That's the slippery slope. My complaints about the Hall of Fame started 18 years ago. They put Harry Carson into the Hall of Fame. And I was irate. Harry Carson? And this guy had 9 Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
He had 9 Pro Bowls. He was a good player. But I'm just telling you, because in 2006, it wasn't just, hey, how many Pro Bowls you had? It was like, hey, did people think at one time you were potentially the greatest player at your position of all time? Did that ever cross anybody's mind? And if it didn't, you weren't a...
Now, even though I don't always agree with Jason Whitlock, he's making a pretty good point here. I'm not saying Steve McMichael doesn't deserve to wear a gold jacket. I'm just saying that there was a time when the Hall of Fame was a much bigger deal, and the Hall of Famer was synonymous with the greatest of all time title. Well, what changed? In my opinion, today it's all about the numbers and not the eye test. I'm telling you, man, just watch. In the future, they'll have a stat for what player rushed for the most yards on a Sunday while it was raining during the first half of the season. Yeah, man, the numbers guys are coming up with all kind of stat categories, which is allowing players to break records all the time. But I guess it's good for business, because if you're the Hall of Fame, you need inductees to keep the business going. But y'all tell me what y'all think about it, man. Drop a comment, like the video. Wild 360 News, we out of here. Peace.